Welcome to the Wise Idea Weekly Podcast with Christopher J. Harris, focusing on life, leadership, family, marriage, and the church. We are providing tools for our inspiration and wisdom for life. Our goal is to inspire everyday people to live wise lives. If you're new to us, we release a brand new podcast weekly on Thursdays. Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode. Here's our host, Christopher J. Harris.
Well, hello, my friends. It's another week, another episode of the Wise Idea Weekly Podcast. And I'm your host, Christopher J. Harris. I'm so excited to have you tuned back in with us. Many of you all were listening with us on the last episode with Alejandro Reyes, and we're like, okay, where is the rest of the conversation? Man, it got so good, right? I know it's bad English, but you'll get it. It just got gooder and gooder and gooder. That's bad English, but you get it. Well, listen, guys, I was just so overwhelmed and so enthralled and so fulfilled and so reinvigorated by the conversation with Alejandro that we had to have him back for a part 2 of the conversation, a continuation of the previous episode. And so I don't want to belabor the point or drag this out too much longer. I want you to be able to get your pen and your paper, and let's jump right back into this amazing conversation with Alejandro Reyes on how social media and technology and marketing has changed our lives. Wow. Yeah. So,
I'm brutal, bro. I just keep it real, bro. I'm brutal, man.
No, I think that's my listeners are used to that. We jump all over the pretense and go straight for the jugular. Let's just kind of talk about it and let's deal with it. And I think for a lot of people, though, I want to be sensitive to the fact that there are probably some folks on my podcast or that may listen to this. And the truth is they're late adopters, or they still have skepticism, even as advanced as we are today in technology. And so I want to sort of deal with that for a moment. What do you say to the late adopters? What do you say to the people who have that skepticism and, this is just going to be a fad, or whatever that may look like? What do you, a person like you that does this every day, all day, what do you say to them?
I don't. I literally pay no attention. I just don't, man. Like again, I told you, like, I think, I focus, like, I don't worry too much. If people, again, it's like, what do you say to the people that say that your church is weird because they're speaking tongues? Do you actually spend the time and waste your energy on people that are not a part of your tribe, or do you actually double down and spend time with the people that are in your tribe? That's the problem with a lot of people. They want to go to Facebook. They want to try to get people to vote for Trump on the Facebook feed. That's just not going to work. And both sides, it's just like, I don't even participate in that. So for me, I don't waste my time on the people that don't believe in it. I'm here. I will say though, for those that are maybe skeptics or whatever, like, it's proven. It's almost like saying, is radio going to stick around? Is TV going to, this is, social media is kind of that next. I think Gary Vee calls it Twitter's like ABC. CBS is Facebook, and then Instagram's maybe ABC or whatever. Like these are networks now. And so, I feel like there's 3 people maybe that are still skeptical about social media and these newer platforms or whatever. But I really don't spend time thinking about people that are not going to be a part of my tribe. I just got to cut it out, of my life for some crazy reason. It just makes me a little more sane, because I was that guy that, used to care so much about why people aren't using it. And it was a waste of my time.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get it. I'm definitely with you. I think some of us are called to be bridge builders, and it's amazing because, even with some of the church consulting that I do and some of the church leadership training that I do, you'll go to some churches in various parts of the country, and unfortunately, they still have not yet been able to turn that corner and really embrace technology and embrace social media.
I think there's a difference, Christopher. I think there's a difference between people that are against it and people that just aren't educated. I think there's a difference. I would be a bridge builder to those people that just Alejandro, we just don't know what we don't know yet. I'll have a conversation with them and talk to them all day long. But see, people that that just doesn't work. if it was my job and that, a denomination hired me and said, Alejandro, you need to go talk to all these people that just don't believe it. That's a little bit different. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is people think about social media and technology and they don't think about people. Again, Jesus's model for ministry was going where people were at and solving their need. The attention right now, if you think about it, most people are tied. They can't see past, a foot from them because they're so focused looking down at their phone. So their phone, people are spending most of the time on these social media platforms. So as a ministry or as a organization, I need to be spending time where my audiences are at most. That's the biggest thing that I will always tell them is don't worry about technology. Think about the people where their attention is at right now. And if the attention is on social media and you want to have some level of impact and communicate and reach with these people, you just have to play ball. Or your organization or your ministry is probably not going to be around in the next 5 years, most likely.
Oh, that's true. That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Let me ask you this, Alejandro. Let's fast forward time. Okay. Let's go to 2050. Let's go to 2050. Mm-hmm. What do you think, in your best guesstimation, life looks like in 2050 from a technology and a social media standpoint?
Man, I hope my back is all good by then. I hope my back's still good. I've talked at lengths with Jason Caston about this, and I just think marketers always ruin things. Cars that are driving us, and we can actually maybe don't look at our phone, but maybe there's something inside of our car, or maybe windows are actually showcasing, ads, or I could watch YouTube or whatever it is in 2015 because it's a car that's driving, or it may be a car that's actually flying. I don't know yet. And that's kind of weird to think about, but so much technology, it's so sped up right now, and machines are doing a lot of that thinking for us now. Right. So I think, man, I just, that's so long. I think it might be even 2030 when we see some of that stuff. And so again, I just keep going back to, I'm not so much moved by the tech. I'm more moved by people and how can we best communicate, with people. And so if it is putting an ad on someone's Tesla in their window, maybe that's the way, that things happen. And with, I think you see a lot of what we're doing here, Zoom. I think you see a lot of that type of back and forth, phone calls like that. And then I just think, some of the stuff with, lost my train of thought, but just the opportunity to really connect with people on a more VR, AR, virtual reality, augmented reality type of thing. So maybe you don't go to church anymore in person. Maybe you put on some an Oculus or something and actually are there as your character avatar inside this church. That's weird to me, but that's where I think we're headed, man. It's gonna be different. It's gonna change. I feel like my mom might say God's coming back before that happens. I don't know, man, but I just feel like things are going to be fascinating, and I don't know, man. I just think you got to start adopting things now and have a fundamental strategy about how you communicate with people. And then as a new technology comes, it's you run that through your framework or through the lens of a system that you have. Does it meet this criteria? Does it meet that criteria? And if it does, here's our approach. On how we, New Vintage Church or ABC organization is going to try to communicate and reach to these people. But at the end of the day, the content's all about value, man. If you could put value anywhere, that's kind of the way to me, that's the smarter way to market versus putting just ads up. My whole strategy with marketing is man, if you could put some value up and actually spend some money to put some value in front of people, you start to build trust with people. And then on the back end, that's when you can invite people to your church or a webinar or some sort of sit down conversation. But yeah, the future freaks me out a little bit, to be honest with you, because that's when my girls, that's when they're going to be older. And so, hopefully they're little tech geeks like me. But we'll see.
And that's incredible. So let me ask you this. If you had to put together a 3 to 5 book must read list around this whole conversation that we're having today, what 3 to 5 books or authors or even speakers would you say, hey, like if you guys are listening to this today and everything in you is vibing with what we're talking about, here are 3 to 5 people you must go read, watch, listen to, follow, etc.
Not my favorite books, but around the conversation of technology, future, social, like that, right?
I'm going to ask you your favorite books later. How about that?
Okay, cool. So for me, I think I'll start with people. So I think thinkers of our time right now that kind of really get it, like I think of people like Gary Vaynerchuk. He's probably like the guy when it comes to social media. He runs like a 700-800 person agency, and he does a lot of future casting on what he thinks will happen. I think
Alejandro,
I think videos yes.
why does he curse so much, man?
I think that's so I have I have a friend that actually produced comedy in the 90s, and he said cursing was a way because you could not articulate what you were trying to say. And so a lot of people now kind of use it as shock value. And so I think part of it is you can't articulate what you're trying to say, or you're trying to, which is a real thing, you interrupt. It's called pattern interrupting. You actually kind of wakes people up a little bit. So I don't know why, man. Like I sent him a message like in 2008, 2009. We follow each other, and I was like, "Why do you cuss so much, man? Like what are you gonna do with when your daughter gets older?" And he responded with like, "I don't know," like. And so I would love for my girls to watch him, but they can't. Like I just don't have them watch him because he has good, really, really good advice, and he does cuss a lot, man.
Yeah. Okay. So Gary, who else?
So Gary, Gladwell is such a great, I think in like 100 years, 50 years, we're going to be reading Malcolm Gladwell and Ryan Holiday. They're very in the similar vein, in my opinion, as thinkers. And then when it comes to video, because video is very fascinating to me, and I think that's where we're headed. Number one, between ages of 13 and 17, 89% of that age group watches YouTube. It's the biggest social media platform from that age group and down. And so video is very powerful. And so Casey Neistat's fantastic. I think he's a forward thinker, and I think where YouTube's headed is it's fascinating. And so I think the book, Jab, 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 Right Hook is a great book by Gary. It really tells you, I think it's a really practical book on how to actually think about social media. But I think that's probably the only book that I would recommend. The other book I would recommend, I'm just looking at my books right now, would probably have to be the book Influence. It's called the Psychology of Persuasion. And I think when you have an understanding of how to communicate with people and influence them, there's a difference between persuasion and manipulation. Manipulation says, I'm going to persuade you and communicate to you in a way to get you to do something for my benefit. Persuasion to me is communicating to get someone to do what's best for them. And so it's a massive difference. And so to me, you could read the book Influence, and people have, and they kind of use it as a form of manipulation. But if you are good-hearted, and I know that the people that are actually listening to this will use it for good, I think Influence is one of the best books for communications. It's a business book, but from a communication standpoint, it'll help you be able to long-term in any market, any economy, any technology, be able to communicate and influence people and impact them in the way you want that will help them best.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so what's your personal list?
My favorite book is one of my favorite books is Influence. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I think Think and Grow Rich really helped me when I was younger. I'm actually looking at my books right now. How to Win Friends and Influence People, and a little secret book that I don't tell everybody about. You got to have your secret books, man. One of my secret books is called The Goal, and it's actually about it's from an accountant who talks about the manufacturing business of processes from like the manufacturing business, and the way that you market, like a church or a business. There's some sort of funnel. There's like a next best step for each person, and it talks about those constraints in some sort of funnel like manufacturing business, and it's just one of the most fascinating books. Those are probably some of the best. I just love books, man. But the funny thing about me, like I look at all these books, most of them are like old books. Like I love old books. Like there's one up here called Tested Advertising Methods. I think that's from like the 30s or 20s. And so I read old stuff, or I read like authors that have had like several bestsellers. I don't read like a ton of new stuff. I try to go back and read old stuff. Let me give you one last book to read. It's called Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. It's by Jay Abraham. He's kind of like the modern godfather of marketing, if you will. And so yeah, those are the books I love.
I love it. All right.
What's your favorite book?
What's my favorite book?
Yes, you can't say the Bible, bro. We can't do that.
No, I'm not going to say the Bible.
I knew you were going to say it.
No, I'm not going to say the Bible. And I'm turned around right now looking at.
While you're looking, I want to say, if I had to do a spiritual type book, I would say The Tale of Three Kings is by far, it's you could read it in a day or two, one of the best books for anyone in business or church leadership. It talks about Saul, David, and Absalom. It talks about how to serve under someone that's trying to kill you, and how to lead when someone under you is trying to take your throne. So fascinating book, man. And yeah, that's a really good book if someone wants some spiritual stuff. But what about you, man?
Yeah, that's funny. So I would actually say three. There's three books that probably were game changers for me. The first one is The Bondage Breaker by Neil T. Anderson. It was one of the first books that I read. So most people are taught about spiritual warfare and all those kinds of things, but very few authors, I believe, have been able to show in a balanced way both the spiritual warfare component, but also the component that deals with personal choice of where we open ourselves up to certain things that we shouldn't, and the psychology behind all of it, right? So yeah, that'd be one book. I think the second one is a book by a guy by the name of Dutch Sheets. It's called Second in Command, and that whole book is really about the I don't want to overuse this word spiritual warfare, but the spiritual components of leading in a church when you're not the number one person, right? And what does that look
really
like?
Good.
Man, it was a game changer, man. I read it about maybe 10 years ago now, and I promise you, I bought another copy because I literally highlighted, underlined, and written in the margins so much in that book that it was hard for me to go back and read that particular book again. I had to buy a new one to read it again. So that would be that's how powerful it was. The third one, I think, is actually a fairly newer book, and that is the Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, Emotionally Healthy Leader series with Peter Scazzaro.
Yeah. No, definitely familiar with it.
Yeah, I think that book is just I think it is probably one of those, as you talked about, Malcolm Gladwell and Ryan Holiday and those thinkers. I think that those that are interested in a healthy spiritual life that really integrates discipleship and integrates your relationships and social capital and all those kinds of things. I think that's going to be one of the ones that is going to keep coming up. Last one, I'll list one more. There's a book called Living on the Edge, and it actually, that's the second iteration of it. The first one was called the R12 Christian by Chip Ingram, and it's literally.
Yep, I've heard the Living on the Edge.
Yeah, it's an expose of one of my favorite chapters of the Bible, and that's Romans 12. Incredible book. So,
bro, that's amazing. One of my the youth pastor at my church, he started reading like Watchman Nee, like when he was like 14. Like he just loves that like spur, like just doctrine. And he actually loves Romans 12. That's where we started. It's his favorite book in the Bible. And we just started a Bible studies. Like we're going to go through Romans, and Romans 12 is his favorite chapter. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Cool, man.
Absolutely. All right. So let's turn the corner here, Alejandro. Let's have a little fun. So every person that I bring on the podcast, I take them through a few moments at the end of the interview of what I call the hot seat or the quick fire question. So
Okay.
This is a moment where you the question that I ask, you have to answer it with the first thought that comes to mind as fast as you can. All right.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. So do you need to get
Nervous.
a drink of water or anything first?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Apple or PC?
Oh, Apple, easy.
Favorite food?
Mexican/Persian.
If you could do any other career, what would you do?
Be an actor.
Favorite movie?
Oh man, don't judge me, Christian. Scarface.
He said, don't judge me, Christians. All right. Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show, don't judge me, Christians. Sopranos.
All right. Favorite quote from either a movie or a TV show?
Say hello to my little friend, Tony Montana.
I love that. You sounded just like him. All right. Top 3 items on your bucket list.
Top 3 items. I want to take my wife to Bora Bora, like the little teepee things or what are those little huts that like you look under and there's like fish under you, there's glass. That's number 1. I want to buy my mom a house. And I think the last thing is, it's I just want to build the lifestyle, like bucket list, build the lifestyle where I can spend as much time with my daughters as possible.
What has been the highest moment of your life?
When my daughter Sadie was born. So I didn't have a father growing up. And so I didn't understand the fatherly love. I did not. So I had I had daddy issues growing up, #daddy issues. And so when she was born, I really finally understood April 23rd, 2008, the unconditional, no question, no matter what love that God has for us.
What has been the funniest thing that has ever happened to you?
The funniest thing that has ever happened to me is I was pantsed in the middle of the quad in high school. It was the most embarrassing thing in my entire life. And that's the first thing that came to my mind.
What is pantsed? I don't know what that is.
Pants, like they drop your pants.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They pull your pants down. Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. All right. What are you not good at?
99% of things. I'm not good at most things. The thing I'm least good at is I'm not a handyman. My wife is more of a handyman than I am. That's probably one of the funniest things and saddest things at the same time.
When you are alone in the car, what do you think about?
When I'm alone in the car, I usually have worship playing and I'm just thinking about gratitude for God. I literally, that's like Paul talks about praying without ceasing. I'm literally thinking about, that's that time where no one else is around. I can actually spend time with the Father and just be so grateful for all that he's doing and done in my life.
All right. Last question. Did you win any superlatives in high school?
No, I'm just kidding. I actually won. I won Homecoming King in my senior year of high school.
That was the marketer in you coming out. That's how you won, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Man, listen, this has been amazing. This has been incredible. Alejandro, thank you, man, for being on the Wise Idea podcast. I'm gonna give you space here to make a final remark or a final statement or a closing comment before we get out of here.
Yeah, man. All I'll say is, I said it earlier, I believe that every single person has some idea, some sort of message that if enough people heard about it, it literally can not change the world, but your world and make a deep impact. I believe that people are actually, for the business folks and entrepreneurs listening, I believe that idea, that message, you can actually develop some sort of business around that and get paid to do it. Because I really believe, two of my favorite quotes is figure out what you're most passionate about and find a way to get paid to do it. And that's part of passion and purpose, is like figure out your purpose and build your entire life around that. Because I believe passion and purpose is really the key to long-term success.
That's absolutely amazing. Well, let me tell you, I got to tell you that it's absolutely so much fun, man, to have you on today. And I'm honored that you would make the time to be on. I've got literally a page and a half full of notes here of just incredible things that you've shared and things that we've been able to glean from today. And thank you so much, man. It's just an honor to have you on.
Likewise, man. Love your community. And I really appreciate that I had opportunities to spend some time with them today.
All right, guys, there you have it. It's another episode of the Wise Idea Podcast with Christopher J. Harris. And I'm so honored to have you on. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Live wisely.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the Wise Idea Podcast with Christopher J. Harris. We hope you enjoyed our time together. If you did and would like additional resources and information, you can find the previous episodes, show notes, featured guest information, and more at www.thewисeideapodcast.com. We also invite you to join the conversation on social media. The Wise Idea Podcast is on Twitter and Facebook. Find us at The Wise Idea and at our Facebook group, The Wise Idea Podcast. On Instagram, find us at The Wise Idea Podcast. Our host is also on social media. You can find him regularly on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest, all located at CJ Harris 1. Finally, if you enjoyed what you've heard, head over to iTunes and or Google Play and leave a rating and review for other listeners to find us. Our podcast is also on Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you the next time. Live wisely.